I don't have the mic live yet.
Go ahead and make a live on it. There you are.
Okay, can you send me the link?
I'm getting there, children.
Chill.
I have an order. Don't mess with my order.
There we go.
Thomas, go ahead and start. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just sharing right now. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. We were just getting things set up so that way we could share the stream around. Anyway, welcome to another art stream. Appreciate all of you who show up. Again, like last night, last week, we're not doing the actual comic. We're just doing one of the background things because we're so far ahead in the comics. We don't necessarily spoil anything for people. Plus, I actually just finished work on the comics, so tonight we are going to be doing another background, and we're going to do more of the VR characters. This is what we did last time. Cool stuff. We got Query, Builda, Blue, and Red. So what we're going to do now...
You're streaming now, so I'm going to be muted until further notice.
Sorry about that. So we are going to do... What are we going to do, you think? Rename?
Rename, drive as he would with a proper avatar, not just a glow ball.
Mm-hmm. Ranger. We can do Ranger.
We could do B. You want to do B?
B would just be text reading offline. I'm evil. Okay. So, let's start off with Rename. Easy peasy. Let's get my brush set to the right settings. It's still on a soft setting and way too big. About 7 point or whatever the 7 means. Okay. So Ree and Maine both use cylinders. Looking at this up there for most of their body, and that was just to really that was mainly just to make them different from the others. So I'm going to use the 3D drawing techniques that I learned from Mark Kistler's Draw Squad when I was in elementary school. Don't know if any of y'all are familiar with that. He is a artist who did several children's art shows on PBS, and would even tour around and visit schools and stuff. Lately, he's done a few appearances at some like comic nerd convention stuff, and he even does big like summer camp lesson things at his house, which is actually here in the same area that I am. Oops, sorry, I'm have a Discord thing open and things beeped. Anyway, and when I was in elementary school, the dude came to our school and there was a big assembly, and he gave us all kind of a lesson while I think we were in the cafeteria or something like that. And the main thing that he does is basic 3D shapes. And so it's basic 3D shapes, makes it easy to draw, teaches you the basics of shading and highlighting. So I actually use quite a bit of the techniques I learned from him in my everyday art, particularly with the comic. Sorry, I'm adjusting things on the other screen so I can see my reference image and still see everything else. There we go. That's a little bit better. Okay. Let's see. And we are going to do Maine, the maintenance spot. And the way we know it's Maine is because maintenance spot has the two individual eyes, while RepairBot or Re has the visor. I was just about to add the chest detail from RepairBot. The two share a very, very similar design, and that was on purpose because I like the idea that these two were built to be very similar in design, right down to both of them having the same shaped head, which in the real world is a cube, while it's a cylinder here in the virtual world.
It's because they're well-rounded.
Okay, well, let's see. Let's do something a little bit different with their arms and just have them by the side. There we go. And that's one of the nice things about digital art is you can manipulate stuff after the fact. So have him do a little hi teacher, as my good friend Shoki would say. Oh, I'm on the wrong tool. There we go. Kitty was going after the cable on my new set of headphones. The old pair died on me. Just notice I'm off-centered a little bit, but hopefully that's okay. Anyway, there's the basic lines on him. I think he's a little big for this, so we'll reduce his size just a skosh. There we go. Okay, so there's our pencils. Let us ink it now. Always kind of start off really rough and then kind of as I go along when I do the inking, I smooth things out. Oop. Kind of looks much there. Let's make sure he has a nice little smile, because Bree and Maine are actually fairly happy bots. There we go. And these VR forms are designed to be very simple, because they're kind of inspired by the old, like, 90s idea of what a virtual reality cyberspace would look like. There we go. Making the hand a little bit smaller. Yeah, there we go. And I could use actual, like, ellipse tools and stuff like that for this. But especially since I'm in Photoshop, I would much rather just hand draw these things. There we go. Excuse me. There we are. Now it's time to add the color. We're going to turn off the background. So, particularly with the white, I can't see what I'm doing if I got the white background going. There we go. And then you do that for the hands, which are just little spheres. clean the edges of that up a little bit. Let's go ahead, finish up the colors on the face while we're staring at it.
Reach.
Is that two-dimensional? So we have Dimensional Warper in the chat now. Just a sec, folks. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I was just making sure about stuff. Anyway, so apparently Dimensional Warper in the chat wants to see B. So, you know what? We'll go ahead and do B after we are done with main over here. All right. And just got a message from my buddy Shoki. Don't know if he's going to be popping in or not. He's working on some Gundam model kit stuff, which is one of the other things I do. I'm actually going to be going over to his place tomorrow to do a couple of videos and hang out with him. I built a couple of customs actually, and he's going to feature them on his channel. Doot. So Main has this sort of line on his leg cylinder to sort of show the way the waist is on his real life form looks. All right, there's the colors. Set the layer to multiply. Now, as I mentioned before, the VR forms, I do things a little bit different. And among that is my wife is requesting bring up a thing with Webcomic App. I'll go over that in just a second. So I make the shading on this soft. Usually I do the more cell style shading. Though in the latest comic I was doing some soft shading for some particular type of cast shadows, but that's a different situation. I don't like that. Hold on a sec. There we go. I decided for VR to help make it stand out a little bit. I do soft shading like this. So currently, Here You is hosted on 3 different apps: Webcomics app, Webtoons, and Tapas. Webtoons is where we started. Tapas was the second location we went to after we kind of found out about them. And we later found out about Webcomics app, put in an application, and we were accepted. And we've been on them for a little less than a year now, I think. But there is a small chance we may be leaving Webcomics app. And we're not going to go into the details right now, but there are reasons for it. And I will tell you right now, it has nothing to do about the fandom over there or anything like that. We love how many fans and views we get over there. We're actually very happy with that, but there's some other stuff going on, and we need to take stock of things over there. But that doesn't mean the comic is going anywhere. We are still going to be posting on Webtoons and Tapas if anything happens to even if anything happens to Webcomics app. So don't you worry. The show will go on. Okay. Now we need the eyes. There we go. Just saving real quick. Hold on a sec. Boop. 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 I said boop. Okay. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. Had ice cream before this, and that dairy before a speaking thing is usually a very bad idea. Anyway, so there was request for B. So let's go ahead and do that. But really, she's not going to be too much different from Build Up. So let's move main over a little bit. Oh, hold on. My brush wasn't set correctly. Too thick, too fuzzy. Turn this back on to make it a little bit easier. So let's do something a little bit different with her. So sort of symbolize that Bilda is no longer around. I think we're going to have her kind of, her body is with her, has her back turned to everyone. and she's looking back. Okay, that's going to be a cone. There we go. Okay. Erasing out unneeded information. So is there anybody else in the chat? Got questions, comments, solutions to all the world's problems? Ways to add to the world's problems. We're going to do the main expression I remember doing for Bill B so often. The sad smile. Now, if I remember correctly, the welder's bonnet does not have a stripe on it in the virtual world. Let's see. Nope. It's floating up a little too high. Let's bring that down a little bit closer, I think. Oh, brought up the wrong thing. Hold on a sec, folk. I'm having some technical difficulties. That was weird. My mouse input freaked the heck out. There we are. All right, let's start some inking. So whenever I do the lines here, I tend to hold down Shift. Maybe I should be doing that when I do the actual pencils, but it feels more natural to do it this way. So one thing I don't like about the welder's bonnet is having to figure out what the underside is doing. A lot of the designs I've made for this comic have been done with the idea it's like, okay, let's make something look really cool. And then after I draw it, I'm like, oh, I have to draw this over and over again. Of course, not all the designs remain very consistent. Bilda, in particular, in the comic itself, went through a couple of revisions before we kind of settled on the look she has now. There we go. Can hear my wife laughing from the other room. Don't know if the mic's picking up everything. Oh wow, sorry, I didn't realize that my pen will flick around in front of the face cam. I'm still new to all this stuff. God forgive me. Oh, excuse me. Sleep is for the weak. There we go. There's the Build B sad smile. One of the things I've learned is when you're doing drawings like this, don't be afraid to basically overshoot your lines. Because really, yeah, it's some work, but it's not that hard to erase. It's one of the advantages of doing digital is that you can easily undo or take care of things as opposed to actual physical inking. There we go. So, Build has white markings and everything, but the yellow skirt. Build B is going to have everything be yellow. Well, the parts that are white are going to be yellow. And specifically, the goldenrod color that my wife picked out when we knew we wanted to have a big barrel of the paint. Sorry. Specifically the barrel of paint that Bill painted the word gray on, because before Bill B passed, nobody could see the color yellow. That should just be able to, there we go. Center myself more on the camera, hopefully. You guys can also get a view of the ceiling of my house, because I have the camera attached to my board, to the drawing tablet. Now we put in little caution stripes. All right. What the? Sorry, I think my cat just caught a bug or something. He just reached up and pawed at the door and then slid down. I think he got something. Either that or got away. Now he's looking confused again. I don't know. Oh, excuse me. I have no idea where that came from. cannot type today. So now the question is, should I give her the normal eyes or the glitchy eyes? Well, there is B. Not too bad. Checking something real quick. Ah, sorry about that. Sorry, I was checking a Discord thing because I had noticed when I was posting something that it looked like somebody had commented about something I made. Okay. Anyway. Okay, so shall we go ahead and move on to repair or re? I think we shall. Bump, bump. Oh. So let's try to have him in like a thinking pose or something. Oop, he's a little too big. Now we'll have him bringing up the little menu thing. I think I still have that saved somewhere. Open, can't forget the hat. There we go. There. That looks like a nice sort of dynamic pose there. Give you guys something exciting to look at. Okay, make sure I have the right details there. There we go. And then so the markings on repair represent the sort of kind of way the repair bot is built. The repair bot has this sort of metal structure, makes sort of a T shape on the front of their chest. Why? Because I wanted to. And then their torso actually has a special extendable center column. So instead of the standard pillar that most of my bots have, they have this sort of accordion stretchy straw thing. And we're going to just straight up have him in profile. That makes more sense with how I have things set up. Plus, like I said, it makes it a little bit more dynamic. Okay, I think that's pretty good for the lines. Let's go ahead and start the inking again. So it is 8:46, so we've been going at this for about 46 minutes now. Not too shabby. Be nice if there was more people commenting on the chat, but whatevs. Cat? No. Don't you talk back to me, cat. Cat's chasing a fly around the house, I think. Our mighty hunter. That's really okay. I do have the headphone in place. Sorry, I'm using a new headset. The old one, the headphone jack on it got jacked up, and I was no longer getting sound out of like the left side or something. I think no, right side. But considering I got it for like $5 and it lasted for a little more than I think it lasted for a couple years maybe. I can't remember. It lasted for about as long as you'd expect a headset for $5 would last. So I wasn't too particularly perturbed, other than the fact that I was out my headphones, having to use my son's Pikachu headphones for a little bit. But my lovely wife found these on sale on Amazon. No idea if they're a good brand or not, but they were a little bit more than $5. Had some good reviews on them, at least in theory. So I got them, and Amazon Prime got them to us basically the next day, which was today. Actually, what was funny was actually, we got these in yesterday, I think it was, but we had another package we were expecting to arrive today. And my wife told me to pop out because she was like, okay, maybe it's arrived by now. And open the door, none. Go over to the mailbox, and there was a package in there, but it was a Transformers book I had ordered. I've been going through the G1 Marvel comics with my son lately, and I've been specifically doing the editions that were printed and collected together in the Titans books collections back in the early 2000s. And I had been waiting on this one for a little while. I think when the storm hit, Imelda, is it called? Almost all shipping got delayed on just about everything, including that one. So I was happy to see that. Went back inside. And then, like, a minute after I came inside and was looking at the book to make sure that everything came in okay, we get a notification saying that the actual package that we were looking for had arrived. So that was kind of funny. Okay. How did I do the menu last time? Okay. So that was just a glowing box thing. So I'm going to open Illustrator. Not that you guys will be able to see that. Excuse me. Okay. Doubt. No, it's not going to be there. So, bumping the microphone. Professional YouTubing here. Who are you? I did save it, right? There we are. VR menu. Oh. Cool. Okay, so we're going to copy that. And we're going to paste it in. And make it smaller because it don't need to be that big. Mouse keeps going crazy on me. edit. There we go. And then apply an outer glow to that. I suppose I should have been doing the coloring before I started doing all this, but I'm impatient and wanted to do this now. There we go. Now, okay, it just disappears if I try using. There, that's a little better. Yay, okay. Back to action. So now we're going to color this dude. Now we're going to color this dude. Now we're going to wait for the program to remember that it is not a toaster oven, but a finely crafted design program. Sigh. Okay. Every so often, the computer just sort of stops responding to inputs. It's still reading them. It just doesn't do anything properly, and then like 30 seconds later, it does all the commands all at once. Completely useless. I have to undo things and get back on track. I don't know if it's just Photoshop being weird, my computer being weird. Combination of the two. Probably part of it is I need to change my primary hard drive out with much larger solid state or something. So I think the solid state that has all the programs and stuff like that is almost full, and it tries to use that for extra space for RAM. But since it doesn't have a lot of room to work with, it doesn't go very well. I tell it to look at other stuff or other hard drives that I have attached to this computer. I imagine since those aren't like necessarily directly wired and as fast as an SSD, it produces problems. This will, with my wife's mentioning the menu, and this will be the first time that people can actually see the menu in the correct direction, because before we were seeing it kind of flipped around and backwards. Because I picture it as this sort of translucent thing that was popped up in front of the character. There we go. Ah! Too much, a little too much. Let's clean my lines up a little bit. There's our colors. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that, folks. Try not to gross people out. Okay. Shade, shade, shade. We love to shade. I'm seeing your messages.
Best hubby, you can't have him.
What'd you think of Build Bee?
I like the bee. And everybody's making comments in Discord.
Okay, so people are commenting on it, just not in the right place.
They want to voice it. They don't want to type it.
Okay. Whatever works, I suppose.
Not chits.
Are people happy?
They are happy. No treats? No treats? Go get them.
I think the cat's been hunting flies.
Yeah, there's a couple and a half. I'm going with my chips. You can eat your treats. He thought I was going to take his treats. I give another kiss.
I love you.
Bravo. I'm going to stay where I'm talking and going to check the stream. Be good, peoples.
All right. Well, there is repair. Just checking something over here. So now we need to do drive. So how? Because the thing with drive is that the reason he appeared as a glowing ball in the last VR session is because technically he had like his avatar kind of taken from him when he was put into the the wall. So I hadn't really designed one for him. Oh, I'm so sorry, folks. Don't worry, I'm not going to fall asleep on you. Okay, I think I have some ideas. Let's get my brush back into position. Let's move these guys over to the side a little bit more, give myself plenty of room. So let's see. I'm thinking. Because the other thing to keep in mind with Drive is that the vehicle is kind of a part of him in many ways. Though he can be removed from it. He needs to have his trucker hat somehow. But how do I want to represent that in this world? Don't know if I'm happy with that. Let's try again. Because I also don't want his VR form to just look like his normal form, because that's boring. Okay, I think I'm onto something here. What do you guys think? Am I onto something? Will my wife tell me if I'm onto something? Am I just talking to myself? Shouting out to the cold and different world? This makes him a lot different than the others. What do you think? Trying to get some sort of feedback. Be right back, folks. Okay, I got the feedback I wanted. Don't know how well it fits in with everything, but for right now, this is what we're going with. I make changes on it. It wouldn't be the first time I changed up a design now, would it? So Drive has to have his trucker hat. Which makes me think of, what is it, Android 19, particularly the Dragon Ball Z abridged version. Where's my trucker hat? So what I've done here is basically kind of represent Drive with the cab of his vehicle, which itself was actually designed to look like Drive's head. That's why the window, or the front windshield, is shaped the way it is, and why the truck itself has basically a little trucker hat. I say little, it's gigantic. Sorry, I keep seeing things move on my other screen. Oops. Don't mess with that too much. There we go. There we go. Yeah, that's a thing. Let's add some color. So since this is more based off the cab, we're gonna do this as white instead of silver. And after we're done with this, I think we'll probably shut things down for the night. Unless I suddenly get a huge influx of viewers or a bunch of requests or something like that. Give y'all time to either show up or comment about your own requests. But I will need to get sleep eventually. I got a long drive ahead of me, so I can go hang out with my buddy Shoki and do some video stuff over at his place. Smooth out these lines a little bit. Yes, sleep. Sleep is good. Sleep keeps me from being a cranky Tommy. This is so ridiculous looking. I love it. My wife's being a dork. Okay, I was maybe being a dork. Okay. He looks so weird next to the others. Okay, so let's go ahead and start adding some drop shadows to these guys so we can wrap this up. Okay, so now we got the drop shadows in. So now we need to just get everything arranged. So main issue I'm running into is I want these guys to be kind of center, like I did here, but they're not really shaped very well for that. Let's try this. Ah, that feels a lot better. Oh, there we go. I think we pretty much got it, folks. So, I think we'll go ahead and call it here. That's what, about an hour and a half of streaming time. So thank you very much for everyone who showed up and watched. Thank you for everybody who commented. Thank you to everybody who goes into our YouTube page and watches these things after the fact. Don't forget that our comic is Who Are You, and it is available currently on Webtoons, Tapas, as well as Webcomics app, where we're a little bit ahead on that one. As I said earlier, we may not be on there for too much longer, but we'll go into more details on that as we have information about it. But again, thank you very much for tuning in. Check out the comic. Check out our storefront over at was it TeePublic and Redbubble. And yeah, I will see all of you next time, and have a good one. Bye.